That and remdesivir looking at approval in Japan. Morning, Meg.
Good morning, Carl. A lot of news coming, and Moderna, as part of announcing its quarterly results this morning, giving that update on the planned trials for its vaccine, saying that the FDA did give the go-ahead just yesterday to begin the phase 2 trial, and also saying that they're finalizing the protocol for the phase 3 trial, which they now expect to begin in early summer. They say, based on these timelines, if all goes well, potential regulatory approval in 2021. Stéphane Bancel, the CEO, on the call this morning talking about that acceleration of timelines. Take a listen to what he said.
Today, we are very happy to announce that we received yesterday clearance from the FDA to proceed with phase 2. It's just 9 days from filing our IND on Monday, April 27th. The FDA gave us a green light. We intend to start the clinical trial as soon as safely possible.
And so, guys, the next thing that we're waiting for is the readout of the phase 1 trial. Those results should be available, we hope, any time now. And that will be the first human trial data on a vaccine for COVID-19. And just to remind you about these timelines, they only began that phase 1 trial in the middle of March. And as Jim pointed out, they're already accelerating their timelines for beginning the phase 3. Just in the end of April, they were forecasting that was going to start in the fall. Now they're saying the phase 3 could start at the beginning of the summer. So these timelines are just getting incredibly compressed, and it's really amazing to watch. But of course, this is a new technology, a new virus, and so there are going to be a lot of questions as this proceeds.
You know,
guys.
Meg, I am aghast. We know that there are many vaccines out there, and you've covered them, where once you start giving them to healthy people, things really go wrong. And there are people, sometimes they used to say, we got to give them for a year before we know something going wrong. This is the shortest time frame. Is there concern that perhaps they are breaking the long-standing rules of the FDA that you should not give someone an illness, a healthy person an illness that could kill them? Because it sounds like that this is almost a Manhattan Project in itself.
Yes, that's a really good point, Jim. There have been instances before, specifically with dengue vaccines recently, where giving the vaccine actually made the disease worse when people encountered it. And so that is a concern here with vaccines, especially with the new technology. I have been talking with a lot of people in the industry who say, yes, it's very exciting how fast this messenger RNA technology can move, but don't count out the tried and true technologies from companies like Johnson & Johnson and Merck, which we haven't heard as much about, but we did have Ken Frazier on last week saying they are in the vaccine race as well. And they're just typically quieter about their communications, but we shouldn't count out those big companies because their timelines right now don't seem as fast. So there are definitely concerns, and every time I talk with Moderna or anybody else in this space, I ask them, how much time do we need to know that these vaccines are safe since it's a new technology? They seem to think they can get that information within these time periods, but I think there are still questions, of course.
And Meg, it's David. As you pointed out, we've never dealt with timelines like this. The market, obviously, and investors overall, not to mention all of humanity, very focused on it. What about manufacturing? We heard from Pfizer as well, maybe something sooner than we had thought, perhaps. But again, manufacturing at scale seems to be such an important part of this. Can Moderna do that? Can Pfizer do that? When we talk about these timelines, are we really talking about getting to that point where you actually would have enough doses available for people around the world?
Yeah, it's a hugely important question. And actually, in Rick Bright's whistleblower complaint, the BARDA director who was removed from his job earlier this week, he detailed concerns about the supply of things like vials, syringes, and needles, all of those things that you're going to be needing to supply vaccine to millions or even billions of people if and when we have a vaccine ready. So I've been checking with companies, is that a problem? Are they worried about that? And these companies with, huge manufacturing capacity say, no, based on our projections that we've given, we are able to provide Pfizer, for example, hundreds of millions of doses next year. Moderna has said with its new partner, Lonza, they aim to be able to supply up to 1 billion doses per year. However, we don't know how soon they could get to that threshold. But You're asking such an important question. Merck put it this way. They're being asked to shorten development timelines by unprecedented amounts and increase manufacturing capacity by unprecedented amounts, all at the same time. So these are going to be huge challenges. We're going to watch them try to solve in real time.
Moderna, I met them when they came to the J.P. Morgan conference 2 years ago. You and I were there, Meg, and they were sitting on the sidelines. I went up to the guy. I didn't know he was a real guy. I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "I got this thing called Moderna." I said, "Oh yeah, I remember you went IPO." He said, "Well, we're good." This company, it reminds me. If I were Pfizer. If I were J&J, they're like Butch and Sundance. Like, who are these guys? And could you please tell people how this is a different sort of drug company? This is not a traditional drug company. This is a computer-driven company.
Certainly, Moderna does use artificial intelligence, machine learning to be able to speed up their discovery process. And we do hear about this from a lot of different companies. All drug companies are using that in some way to speed up their discovery. Moderna is a very interesting company. They were founded by Flagship Pioneering, a venture capital firm, with this idea that messenger RNA would present an entirely new way of delivering medicines, essentially delivering the genetic materials to the body to then have the body's own cells make the medicines, in essence. So it's an amazing technological idea, but critics point out this has never been approved before. So that's important to remember. There's a ton of promise and excitement, but it needs to be proven.